tonight in South Africa, where the leader of the main opposition Democratic Alliance has hailed an agreement to form a government of national unity with the African National Congress as historic. John Steenhuisen said the coalition, which also includes the Inkatha Freedom Party and the Patriotic Alliance, would chart a new course for the country. Correspondents say the Democratic Alliance advocates free market economics, which are at odds with the left-wing traditions of the ANC. They say the DA is also seen as representing the interests of the white minority, something they dispute, but which is deeply embedded in the ANC's perception of them. So this coalition is not a natural alliance, but is more about bringing stability to the country, given that no party had received an outright majority.
It is my privilege to report to you that after 2 weeks of thorough negotiations that only concluded after today's sitting of Parliament had already started, the DA has reached agreement on the statement of intent for the formation of a government of national unity. The government of national unity's presidential candidate will come from the largest party inside the grouping, being President Cyril Ramaphosa. Following his election today, President Ramaphosa will then exercise his prerogative to appoint his new cabinet from among the members of the government of national unity in consultation with the leaders of the constituent parties.
Well, for more on this, let's turn to Arise Africa correspondent Mark Bichachi. Good to see you, Mark. Tell us about this historic coalition between the ANC and the DA. Strange bedfellows, I gather.
Well, for me, it's not quite strange, given the fact that if you look at the history of the two other parties from which they would have formed a coalition, by that I mean the Umkhonto weSizwe party that is led by Jacob Zuma, and the EFF that is led by the extreme right-wing Julius Malema. Now, when you look at these two parties, one, they splintered out of the ANC. If these two particular parties were still in the ANC, then the ANC would have secured close to 60% of the vote. Secondly, we must remember that President Jacob Zuma and now President Cyril Ramaphosa have a very antagonistic relationship, and they are not friends at all. Now, when you look at the DA is a party that is closer to Cyril Ramaphosa in the sense that it is a business-oriented party. It is a party that is assumed to be focused about the economics of South Africa. If you put aside it being seen as a party for the white minority. But beyond that, if you look at the Inkatha Freedom Party that is predominantly domiciled within the greater KwaZulu-Natal, you realize that this is a party that honestly has been similar to the ANC. So this was a coalition that if many who know and understand South African politics was likely going to be the best option, both for the DA and for the ANC, given the fact that the DA is quite aware that its base was not going to expand beyond its traditional base, which is predominantly affluent businesses and the white minority in South Africa. So it is a marriage of convenience, no doubt, but it is a marriage that is built on the fact that both of these parties do not agree and will never support the politics of Jacob Zuma or the politics of Julius Malema. The DA is on record as to not standing for the policies of Julius Malema. Be that as it may, Julius Malema had also said that he would not form any coalition if Cyril Ramaphosa remained president under the ANC.
And this is the first time in 30 years that the ANC does not have a majority in parliament. So this really is a moment of history for South Africa, isn't it? Because the ANC needs the support of other parties to ensure that its candidate, Cyril Ramaphosa, remains president.
Oh, yes, as the saying goes, oh, the mighty have fallen. In the 90s and in the early 2000s, it was unimaginable that the ANC would fail to meet 50% and above in any particular election. But this must be understood under the backdrop of reduced economic fortunes, many strikes in South Africa, degradation of its transport system and its infrastructure, the current ongoing rolling blackouts in South Africa brought on by the mismanagement of its electricity supplier, Eskom. It must also be understood that Nelson Mandela, who is the glue that really held together the ANC, left this earth many years ago. We must also remember that Jacob Zuma, who still holds quite a lot of support within the country, started his own party outside of the ANC. So this is a party that has been damaged by the death of 1,000 razor blades, where it's being cut here and there so often to the extent that now it is largely bleeding. And if it is not able to hold itself together and be able to deal with the economic and infrastructural doldrums that South Africa is going through, then you can bet both your top and bottom dollar that the ANC will fare even worse come the next elections.
And what are you hearing, Mark, about the way that this coalition is going to work in terms of positions? Because we understand that no positions have so far been allocated, although the DA is demanding strategic ministries.
Well, yes. First and foremost, the president has been declared that he will come from the largest party, that's the ANC, so it's going to retain the presidency. There is talk that the Speaker of the House is also going to come from the ANC, with the DA demanding the space for the deputy speaker. As for the ministries, I am sure the DA will try and push for the ministries that matter to its economic base. That's being the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy and other such like ministries. Now, whether the ANC will be willing to cede such control remains to be seen. But we must also remember that for the DA, this is an opportunity for them to implement their policies, which for many years they have been talking about and have not been able to see the light of day. And of course, the ANC, the DA, is also thinking about the fact that this is their only opportunity because their base is not growing. They've remained largely consistent over 4-5 elections, attracting the same people, and the tribal politics of South Africa is not going to change anytime soon. And if you look at the fact that the leader of the DA is a white person, and I hate to talk about race, but this matters in South Africa for them. Many people within the support of the ANC will say that this is predominantly a white party. And if it is so, then the DA only has this opportunity to form government in coalition.
Mark, thanks very much indeed. Mark Bichachi is Arise Africa correspondent. He was talking to me there from Nairobi, from where he's been monitoring developments in South Africa.